Welcome back to the channel. All right, this is going to look a little bit different, but myself and the MCoC Illuminati thought about we're still trying to get this information out to you, and we're like, you know what? The game is just different. The champions are valued differently for your account. If you're focused in on the PvP, meaning like the battlegrounds, the war, or if you are not and you're more focused in like story content, like EOP style fights, the Coliseum, really, really fun stuff. I'm hyped that Kabam is doing those. And so we decided instead of just trying to combine it into one tier list, we've tried all kinds of different ways. We're just going to make two. It's more work. It is. But I think it gets out much better information. And if you're enjoying that work, please hit subscribe. I know how many people watch this. Even if you're just here for the spreadsheet, I respect it. I get it, man. But if you could hit thumbs up on your way out, hit subscribe, hit like, make a comment, hit a share, something like that, I'd appreciate it. And then remember, I will be getting these out on my Twitter and my Blue Sky, screenshot size, put together by none other than Misty K. And then last but not least, I would be really, really, really regretting it if I didn't say, if you are spending, not go spend, if you're spending already, use the codes for MCoC Encyclopedia, MCoC Noob, Nagase on the Illuminati, sharing all this wonderful knowledge. And then use Legacies, use Setons, use Misty K's, use Cat Murdochs, use Simulus. There's so many great content creators out there. Go ahead and support them. They're doing their best to truly get information out to you. All right, now, this is the PvE focused one. If you're looking for more of the PvP, guess what? I did that. It's literally coming out in the same weekend. I know it's splitting views a little bit. It's probably not a smart move YouTube wise, but getting out the right information, that feels like the right thing to do. So here we are. Okay, we're going to start off and talk about all the promotions, demotions, and of course, the new champion. Now we've got Absorbing Man. He's going to be great in PvP, of course, but the shifting, or the ability to pick your immunities basically, and then play him via your SP1 or your SP2 to keep those immunities. I've shown him when the 6 stars were the meta and I was playing Absorbing Man a lot, going to his SP3, getting the massive, massive crits. Like, he's just a ridiculously amazing champion that's going to help clear so much content. What he does to like unstoppables, he can even handle a little bit of a ability power rate. He is good for the big bads in the cosmic class, but he's also good for the big bad nodes and things that Kabam puts out in this game. I absolutely love him. I think he's solidly going to be in the highest tier. I think, you know, because this is more PvE focused, it's less about like, oh, do they answer the new big bad defenders that Kabam's putting out to develop the PvE aspect of the game. And so what I'm going to really encourage you to do is focus more in on where a champion is, which tier they are, than where they are in the tier, because the PvE focus part of this game is huge, right? We don't know what Kabam's going to put out for Coliseum or Act 9.4 or new EOPs or long form. These are the champions who are tried and true and have shown they are very, very relevant. And when they come out with new abilities, of course, we're going to call that out for you as well, too. Moving on, Spider-Man Pavita Pavarkar. I personally think he is possibly the most valuable mystic to have in the game based on what we know right now in regard to he will be ascendable. He is in the highest tier on the PvP list. He is in the highest tier of the PvE list. I feel very comfortable with that. I selected him from the Platinum track. I got a video done within a couple hours. I was like, oh my God, if you are spending money this December, I'm not saying to go spend money. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if you are, make sure you've got him. Go look at the Platinum Pass. Make sure you haven't missed any days. I would much rather, as of right now, I would much rather have Pavita Pavarkar than any champion associated with Banquet. Doesn't mean I'm not excited for champions with Banquet, but I know that long term, he is ascendable. He's ascendable the day one it goes live. And I also know he is just as good as any of those champions as far as like the way this game is, the things that Kabam asks us, the hurdles and challenges they throw at us in PvE and in PvP, to be honest. So there he is. Moving on. Now we're gonna get to Purgatory. This is a perfect example of why we're just do 2 different lists. Because if you look at it from a PvE perspective, Purgatory is a top tier champion. She is phenomenal. Like, I've done so many videos on her. I'm going to continue to do videos on her whole soul, capturing ability over the course of a quest. But the thing is, she's actually just good in the fights to begin with. She just gets better as she goes. She has a neutralize that builds up. She's just often not fast. She's just often not, and it's not that she's slow. She's just often not nukish. And so therefore, in a Battlegrounds or PvP focused list, she's a little bit further down. But if that's not the way you're playing the game, she is insane. Like, yes, she is better awakened. You can see that. We've got that called out with the emojis. But there's a reason why I selected her on my free-to-play account, my Vega Prime account, even though she's unawakened. And I have a 6-star rank 5 ascended. Like, if you just look at the facts and don't know how good Purgatory is, that's a pretty dumb move, right? For a free-to-play account. But she's that good. She's that relevant, and she has that much utility that Kabam is asking for out of nodes and defenders. I absolutely love Purgatory, especially on a PvE-focused list. Doesn't mean we've forgotten PvP, by the way. Neither of these lists is like only this. It's just, hey, it's more heavily influenced by what we're calling out at the top of the screen. Moving on, this is another example of it. Dr. Voodoo, right? A lot of people, and I get it, man. I get it. I play the game too, right? I play the game too. I experience the up and downs and the frustrations with you all. Are like Dr. Voodoo just feels like Nico Minoru light, and I get it because the damage type, and he wants to do poison and all of these things. And it's like, well, if you've got Nico, then why do you got? They are different. Dr. Voodoo actually has power control, which Nico Minoru does not. Additionally, Dr. Voodoo, once awakened, has that heal at the start of a fight. How many times? And I know there's a lot of like EQs and stuff where it's just a single fight and you come out. I get that. I really do. However, you can bring him in and heal up, saves you some potions or potentially a revive. Additionally, over the course of a quest, it's going to go a long way. And TC on my Discord server was a pretty big fan of Dr. Voodoo, showed us a lot of fights. The guy is really powerful, right? With massive damage, nullify, power gain, all this stuff, or power control, I'm sorry. Moving on, this is another example. Wiccan's a little flimsy, okay? Wiccan is a little, they didn't make the guy very sturdy, unfortunately. He can't block unblockable attacks from Cosmics, but the health pool's not large. I think he even has like negative block proficiency. He's got like a negative in a stat. He's obviously supposed to handle energy damage, and I think that's why, right? Got a really strong neutralize. He's pretty good in long form. This is neutralize is asked for frequently. He's a very strong champion. He can land your heavy, and so he moves up. Whereas in PvP modes, man, a champion like that, where if you make a small mistake, you're really going to pay for it. Has a little bit more trouble shining. Can be good in war, but a really good questing champion. And again, it's a really strong neutralize. And then move over to Jane Foster. I called this out in the PvP tier list. That essentially she's going to move up in the PvE one because she's got that really nice dagger. I believe she has the wither as well too, which is really strong. And then of course she does not need to land a shock, but if the quest is asking for a shock, she's got that for you, and she can do really nice damage as well. Really good champion. I think that's a good buff. So all right, let's go ahead and move on to the next class. Moving on to the science class, and yeah, Scorpion. List as great as I think Photon is, as great as I think all those other champions are, as much as I'm saying like focused on the tier, less on their placement on it, I do think Scorpion deserves to be at the top, which is really rare for us. As you know, like we start off pretty conservative with champions, we try to. However, we've played Scorpion, right? Or like many of the Illuminati have. Also, I've played him as a 6-star extensively. The ability to go into a quest or the value to an account where you have a champion who can have 3 different immunities and 3 different damage types, and you get to pick them, that's a big deal. Then you add on the utility that this guy's got, right, with the taunt, and then I think it is with the petrify and the massive damage capabilities. MCoC Encyclopedia, I believe, showed that as well too. He, I think, moves to the top, or he's at least in there with Photon. And yes, the dominance and parallels of Spider-Woman, Count Nefaria, like they're all very different. I do like that about this class, particularly when you look at the PvE. It's like how different they all are. They all have different jobs for you to do, right? And then we'll move on. We'll talk about the Overseer. This is another perfect example of why we're like, just create the 2 lists. Just do it. Just do it, man. Just do it. He can be good in PvP, often just not quite as fast. That's it. But immune to so many different things. And then he powers up when he's immune. I've talked about him. He made my hidden gems for December. I'm looking forward to getting into 2026 and showing off just a little bit, reminding people, at least talking about it on streams and things like, dude, don't sleep on the Overseer, right? He is a great champion. He can do so many things. He's got a taunt off the heavy, like just a really phenomenal, well-designed champion. I love him. And he is like the perfect example of why we've gone to 2 different lists. Another perfect example is why is Deathless She-Hulk. If you used her in the Colosseum, you were reminded, or maybe it was your first time finding out. No, you had to have been reminded because you probably did the Deathless challenge in Necropolis. She was better than Deathless Thanos in that. Now, mainly because he was unawakened. He's ridiculous, and we'll get to him when it's his time. But she was phenomenal in it, right? I got to the point where I was like, oh, I'm going to use Deathless Thanos. And then over time, I was like, no, actually, I'll just use Deathless She-Hulk. She's better. She controls the fights. The damage gets going phenomenally. I think she can't miss, and she turns something else off when she can't miss. She's like the mirror image in a way. That's probably not the best analogy to She-Hulk, who is great. The reason why I'm going to address this is probably like, well, why isn't She-Hulk up there? She-Hulk is phenomenal, and in the right hands, okay, you guys know who I'm talking about, right? He's a great player. She is maybe the best champion for certain fights. However, if I'm giving out advice to all of you, the thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are watching this and playing this game, She-Hulk is much more difficult to play. I believe you achieve very similar results with less She-Hulk, and she is significantly easier to play. Significantly easier to play. I think she was designed to do be. You got to play her well, but she's going to handle so much for you. She's a phenomenal, phenomenal champion. Just doesn't pop off in battlegrounds. You just don't see her very much. People even like me are like, well, I really like her, but man, I know she's not going to be the best in battlegrounds. She's great. I absolutely love her, and a perfect example of why we created the two lists. Moving on to skill, and this is the first time. I know it's not the first time that a rose is coming up, the rose emoji. I want to point out to people who are longtime viewers, this is a change in the emoji. This is now myself and the Illuminati. There's so few champions like this left that we're comfortable projecting where a champion would be if they were available as a 7-star. Okay. And one of the main reasons we wanted to do that was we wanted a way to point out to people who are coming up in this game that these champions are available. So if you're looking to rank 5 stars or 6 stars, you can be like, oh, wow, Kate Bishop, possibly the best skill champion in the game. Like, that's incredible. The only reason, and I will say, is now that we're talking about Kate, I actually think she probably is the best skill champion, but the game has evolved so much that yes, while her cold snap damage off her SB1, it's passive, first of all, that's ridiculous. And it is so massive, and you can build her up that way, and it handles evade for you as well too, that we don't know. We don't have her as a 7-star. And so I'm still going to default to Okoye. That being said, especially in PvE, we had this discussion in the PvP tier list as well too. This top tier, this Okoye, Kate, Kingpin, and Crossbones. Crossbones falls down a little bit. He's not quite as part of this conversation. I'll explain why in a minute. It's really like pick the fight. Like the game is massive, right? Very much similar to Science. These champions do different things. Kingpin's going to come in and he's going to be amazing for shrugging. Now, you might take some damage because he has a 60% shrug, but if you want it to be 100%, you can bring along the hood synergy. And I think there's one other champion. He also has amazing synergies. Like after a few months of playing his buff, I was like, this is the best skill champion in the game. And I did that video and I meant it. And I think he's in that conversation despite the game growing a lot. He's going to be great. He's going to hit so hard for you. Okay. He's a phenomenal, phenomenal champion. Moving on, like I was going to say about Crossbones is, I think Crossbones' difficulty to play, you can bring along the MCoC synergy. If you're a phenomenal player, like you saw what I think it was Liam and Andrew the Rough did in Coliseum with Crossbones, right? If you can play him like that, you're going to destroy things, move them up even in this tier. The other thing that I want to point out is, as a strong Crossbones enthusiast myself, I'm in the fan club for sure, is I tried using him a lot in story questing. And what I found was Kabam will often put on a node that makes it so you cannot reduce ability accuracy. Now, sometimes that's because of neutralize, but I also think the Crossbones is so strong that they just don't want their nodes turned off. I kind of don't blame them. And so I don't think you're able to use him as much in story content or in at content or in EOP. But when you can and you play him well, he's definitely in the highest tier, if not the best. Moving on, Scorching Tier, we've got Valkyrie. Any champion that can hit into block, get up a grit, right, which turns off Unstoppable, essentially, and do massive, massive damage, they're going to have a role in the game. It's as simple as that. Moving on to the Super Hot Tier, we've got the new Punisher. He definitely feels built to be a defender, but a defender, and I like that Kabam has done this. I feel there's like multiple examples of this over the course of, I think, 2025 and 2024. I can't remember exactly when Bullseye came out. Is they're a good defender, right? They're a great defender, Bullseye and Yelena, but they've done a nice job of providing them offensive utility and good enough damage that you can utilize them. I think Punisher is going to fit that. He might not be as difficult a defender. That's going to be a time will tell scenario, and that doesn't factor into a PvE list, okay? We've even got the shield up to kind of show you like, hey, part of this is a little bit, because this isn't only PvP. This is showing PvP value, right? Battlegrounds and war as well, too, because some people dabble. They dabble in both. They dabble, right? And so I wanted you to see that there with Punisher. I think he's going to be good. Just let's keep our eye out on him and how good, right? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next class. We're on to Mutant. The first champ we'll talk about Cyclops. You guys know I love Cyclops. He was also mentioned in my hidden gem. I don't remember if I chose specifically him because Mutant had a couple of them, and I don't remember off the top of my head right now. He's great. You guys got to remember, he is just turning off. Like, I think he has the true focus buff. You just in light. I think you just have to hit 3 or 4 lights. You don't have to do the intercept style with him. Now, he's designed to help you with intercepts, and that is a node that is asked for. Defenders are asked for it. Okay. If you have him at high enough sig, the damage back mechanic is going to help you out over the course of the quest. It's not going to top you off or heal you up like Nico Minoru's will, but when a mode where you're not worried about coming out with 100% health like you are in Battlegrounds, it becomes very valuable. His being Cyclops' value skyrockets, I think, when you remove the PvP function, especially because once he gets ramped, he does insane, massive, unblockable damage. So he is great. He is great. It just depends on what modes of the game you're focused on. So another perfect example moving up. Captain Britain, if you saw the PvP, you know this is a move down. And the reason is because much of her value is as a defender, being a magic box defender, meaning like you got to have the right counter. You can't crit, you can't knock her down on all of these things. You need to have Soul Bark, right? You need to have the Maker. Well, that doesn't come into play nearly as much on a PvE focused list. Like, we're not going to ignore that there's some value there, but really, her offensive abilities are based on her doing energy damage, her getting to her special 3, and then she just destroyed stuff. Not as much as Cyclops, but she does. And she also ramps up and kind of keeps her ramp, depending on how you want to define that. I loved using her in Coliseum. I remember CCP testing being like, hey, if Longform comes back, we've got a potential Longform monster here. So that's part of what I love about Coliseum and why I think Captain Britain is a worthy rank up. I ranked up to rank 4 is because even when her defensive value falls off, which it will, it will. That's how it works. She's still going to have some offensive capabilities for you. Okay. So that's that. She does have the passive. I think it's a passive slow off of her SB1. I can't remember if it's passive or not. Chances are you're not using her for that because accessing her damage becomes significantly more difficult if you're using the SP1, not the SB3, SB2 loop. X23. She feels like a champion to me that's built more for Battlegrounds, war style, health pool with that frenzy mechanic. Okay. And so that's why she is here. I'm very open to the idea that she can move into the super hot tier, or if Kabam starts having more nodes, and I have noticed this, it's interesting. I did not predict that X23 would have this utility, but playing the game in November and December, I started to feel like I was noticing indestructibles popping up more. I don't remember if it was the side quest or what, but I was like, this is interesting. And this is the sort of stuff I paid a lot of attention to, and I talked to you about it over the course of many years, why I can often be like, oh, I think this is going to be valuable because I'm noticing this coming up more in nodes. The issue for X23 is that her utility there is limited to the skill class. Fits very much into the class identity sort of thing. But again, while that might be good for a lane and story where they're asking for like, hey, bring your mutants. This is going to happen. That doesn't necessarily mean that skill champions will be on the lane. So a lot of prognostication there. I could see her getting much more valuable over the course of 2026, but I want to see it before we actually move her up or promote her. Moving on to the tech class, and I just absolutely love this. I love it. I think Bastion's amazing. You guys know how much I like Future Ant-Man. I like all of this. I do. But Ironheart, man, if you've got a quest, right, this is similar to Scorpion. She has 2 different damage sources. One is physical, one is energy. She has an anti-mist mechanic. I think she's reverse controls immune. There's like more. She's ridiculous. You can play her with just the special one, just build your damage, keep going, hit the pause. That's fine. That's fine. And it just builds. And then when you think you're getting close enough for a big cash out, you throw your SB2 and you call it a day. She is an amazing, amazing, amazing champion. And as great as I think the other champions are, and you guys know I love my Bastion, if I'm removing the PvP focused parts of the game, then she becomes the best tech. The real irony is she's actually pretty good in PvP. She can be very good in war, and she can be very good in BGs. She's just an example of a champion she's not as fast as the nukes. And so as a result, as you move up in competitive levels and battlegrounds, you see her less and less and less because there's other tech champions who can take similar fights a little bit faster. Moving on, we see Nimrod. Nimrod's going to be a monster. Remember the dual immunities. We do still see healing in Quest. Every once in a while, we see prowess. There are mutant defenders out there. Additionally, remember, he does that to any prowess and to any healing. So it's not just mutants. He's a great champion. I feel very comfortable with him up there. I think people are going to remember just how much damage this champion does. Similar with Yondu. This is very similar to what we said with Valkyrie, right? If you can hit into the block and do great damage and never actually have to work with basically the defensive kit or the nodes that are there, you're going to have a lot of value. And his damage is good enough that he very much fits into that definition. So he's up there. And then this is an example of a champion that has moved way down, right? This is similar to Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain, is Solvark. I do think Solvark's good. I think it's a little confusing to play. And a lot of what he does is tailored toward mutants or energy damage. Now, there's a chance he moves up. I want to be clear. This is more of a placeholder with Solvark. We know in Battlegrounds and War the role he can play. It's very much like, here's the shape, you fit the shape. He does it. In questing, I want to see it. I want to give time. I want to try to use it myself in questing. He was really helpful to me. I was streaming the other day and we took out an onslaught. And I think it was the EQ. So it's not that he doesn't have a role. Remember, the second tier is still a phenomenal champion, but a lot of his value on the PvP sides comes from being a dual threat in Battlegrounds, or be able to take like hazard shifts sorts of fights in War. That's not present here in PvE. So this is an example of a champion who's demoted a little bit when you look at the difference between the two of them. And then our final class is the Cosmic class. Again, just pointing out that that is a heart signifying, or a rose, sorry, signifying, that's a prognostication, a projection of what we think their value would be as if they were 7 stars. All these champions are graded as 7 stars. So the point of that was, one, for entertainment, interest, and just kind of our ideas, but also for people who are ranking up 5 stars, 6 stars, those sorts of things, for you to have an idea of like how good Hercules is. If you've pulled the 6-star Hercules, rank them up, have a good time. You're going to enjoy it. He's just going to help you bland blast a lot of stuff. So that's what that is. Hulkling, he's great. This is he's an amazing champion. Basically, he's got a lot of those power manipulation immunities that you're hoping for out of the Cosmic class. Immune to poison, and I think and shock. Has the pierce buff, which is often asked for. Right, like goes unblockable. He does have a bit of a cash out. You get the Furies and you go unblockable and you kind of cash out, quote unquote, but he gains power so fast you just like immediately ramp right back up. Like he's amazing. He's an amazing, ridiculous champion. It's just, yeah, he's in the top tier. We can leave it at that. Moving on to the Scorching tier, we've got Phoenix, Odin, and Venom the Duck. Phoenix is another perfect example of why this list exists. She can be very good in Battleground. She is really good for Arnim Zola's. However, she takes like a little bit longer to get into her, just a little bit. But once you've got her going, Allison Edits has shown the amazing damage capabilities of her. And additionally, she heals. I love Phoenix. Like I've talked to you guys about this at length. Like she's actually one of the reasons that like I was like, hey, you know what? What if we just do 2? Let's just do 2, fully go through and analyze all of them from 2 totally different perspectives. It takes longer. It took longer, but I think it was worth it. It always bothered me having Phoenix as low on the old tier list as she was, because I was like, I can't in good faith have her there when a lot of, your competitive in-game players are like, dude, she's not doing it right. She's not in a bit in PvE. My God, she is one of the best champions, as you see in the second tier, though. Very similar to Odin. Odin can be good in PvP. He can be. But by and large, you're looking for something that has a little bit more of the utility or handles the big bads in the mode better. He is a fantastic champion. And you used him, especially as health pools grow. That SP2 hits so hard. And I believe it was the true strike that he gets off of his SP1 with his own Energize. He's an extremely tanky champion. Doesn't even need to be awakened. He is fantastic. Similar to Venom the Duck. This is a fantastic, like, I mean it. I am a big fan of Venom the Duck. He's one of the champions I'm going to be ranking. I think I've already took him to rank 2. He might be my first rank 3 on my free to play account, because you ramp up, you get your buffs, and then you put on I think it's called the toxic armor, which is outrageously unique. The only champion in the game that has that. He hits crazy hard. He's healing. He's getting fury buffs. He's just great. It doesn't work as well in PvP. You guys are used to this by now. We'll move on to the super hot tier. I think Imperiosa feels like a champion who's built a bit more PvP in mind. Third tier is still a great champion. She's going to have the Pierce buff. She's also immune to, I believe it is Disintegrate. So if we start seeing that on notes, or if it is a tough boss like a Zola or a future Ant-Man, she has the Pierce buff as well. So she might be phenomenal for. She seems very good. I'm open to the idea she can move up, but she's technically in the game, but very few people are playing high tier, highly ranked Imperiosas right now. So let's let time go by a little bit. And then just Super Skull, because he's new-ish. I do think he's more of a defensive-leaning dual threat in Battlegrounds or a pure defender. He does have uses. I showed that in my Super Skull buff video. That was it. And just to call out, I don't think I called it out in this video. The synergies and any relic pairings are listed there at the bottom there on the different pages of the spreadsheet. It's obviously in the description. If you made it this far, you probably already are subscribed, but make sure you are. A lot of people are like, dude, I've been watching you for years and I haven't subscribed. And make sure you support that Illuminati. Let me know your thoughts on the 2 different tier lists. I'm pretty committed to this. I'm pretty committed to it. Like I said, I don't think it's going to play as well on YouTube views wise, but I think it's better information and I want to get that information out to you all. So I'm hoping over time for it to take off. Kind of taking a little bit of a leap here on our 5-year anniversary, but I think it's worth it. Make sure you support that Illuminati, and I hope you're having a phenomenal time out there in the battle ring. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.